I wanted to tell you guys about a couple of interesting applications of AI, aka artificial intelligence, that I've come across. I want to preface this by saying I am in no way, shape, or form an expert. I just find this stuff interesting. I follow a lot of AI pages. I listen to podcasts about AI. I've used some AI tools for different things like ChatGPT, Claude AI as well. And it currently feels like the beginnings of the internet. If you go back in the 90s, was it 95, 98, 99, the AOL CDs and getting on AIM and fucking Yahoo Messenger and shit like that. And using those different tools for the first time, it definitely feels that way in terms of AI being in its like nascent stages, but in a way that you can see it becoming and evolving into something so much more ubiquitous than what it currently is. And I just wanted to share a couple of stories with you guys of what I think are glimpses into that future. And the first two are related to the medical field. There was a story that came out of a child that was having issues and the mom couldn't figure out what it was. She went to a bunch of different doctors. They couldn't diagnose what was wrong with the child. And the mom took to, I believe, ChatGPT, but it could have been a different one. And she uploaded the kids' CAT scans and MRIs, if I'm not mistaken, and typed out a bunch of the symptoms that the child was having. And the AI model was able to accurately diagnose what was wrong with the kid, what medications could help, and ultimately, I believe, was reconfirmed and backed by actual medical professionals, which is amazing. And this next story is about a routine mammogram that a woman had that showed everything being fine. The technician, the doctor reviewed the results of the mammogram, gave her a clean bill of health, and then those same scans were put into an AI model, and it was able to identify 2 cancerous cells within the images, or potentially cancerous cells within the images that were unseen to the naked human eye, which is how it got past the technician and the doctor, but highlighted them and recommended getting an MRI, which is deeper imaging and picks up things that a normal scan during a mammogram does not. And the MRI was able to confirm those cancerous cells and ultimately potentially save the life of that person. And I think those 2 examples are for all the scary scenarios and ways that AI or AI related tools can be misused, that are, I think, true fears of folks that are much more in the know than I am. But I think just generally speaking, every tool can be used for good and can be used for evil, right? But those 2 examples, which of course are anecdotal, but are, to me, very encouraging, very hopeful ways that AI can be implemented for the better. Another cool application that I wanted to tell you guys about is AI's coding ability, which I can't code worth a damn. And by worth a damn, I don't mean I'm bad at coding. I mean, I literally can't code anything. The only thing I've ever coded was back in the MySpace days when you would have to go on obscure websites and copy and paste the code into the back end of your MySpace page to give yourself a scrolling toolbar or some shit like that. But I've leveraged both ChatGPT and Claude AI to try to develop my own app for clipping podcasts and identifying moments within a podcast, similar to how Headliner does, which I currently use as a tool, Cast Magic, Descript, and others, and I use them to, once I create a podcast episode, I create clips of that episode to put on social media, YouTube, my website, etc. But I wanted to see if I can develop my own software to do that. So I started using ChatGPT, and I definitely have not gotten it to a place where it works, but I did get it to a place where it could transcribe a podcast episode or a clip of a podcast episode locally in my own computer, which isn't much because you could do that for free on websites. And also, again, those aforementioned sites like Cast Magic do that automatically for my podcast episodes. But just trying to, create my own little proof of concept of, is what I'm doing working? And, the code that ChatGPT is creating based on the prompts that I give it, and I'm copying into terminal in my Mac and creating my own little application and then trying it. Does that actually work? And it does. When and if I'll get it to the point of doing what I wanted to do, which from my perspective is a way for me to have a place to, do what I need without having to leverage all these other websites that already do different versions of what I want, but having and creating my own all in one place to do this stuff. Will I get it to that point is yet to be seen, but it's just dope again from seeing this from what it is now, which is the beginning stages of AI, to what it will, in my opinion, very clearly become, which is as ubiquitous as the internet itself. And listening to Sam Altman on Lex's podcast in a recent episode, which I'll link to in the episode notes for anybody who's interested in this kind of stuff. Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI, which is the company that created ChatGPT and Sora and DALL-E, for example. He said something very interesting when Lex asked him if, these types of applications are just going to get rid of coders. Sam Altman thinks not, or at least not directly, but he said what it's going to do is make it so that people will eventually code in normal human language, which I thought was very, very fucking interesting. And with the extremely limited experience that I have in that, trying to create my own little app thing that I just mentioned to you guys, I see what he means, because I have no idea what these hundreds of lines of code that ChatGPT generated for me based on the prompts that I gave it, like what they actually mean or do. It describes it for you. It tells you like what you're grabbing and what the purpose of X, Y, and Z is for. But generally, not every single intricate line of code. I have no idea what that stuff means. But what I do know is the prompts that I'm giving it and what I'm expecting in return. And when I take that and it doesn't work, and then I can go back to it and say, this is what you gave me. I wanted it to do this, but this is the response that I'm getting in my Mac's terminal. Why is that? And then it tells me, oh, that's because X, Y, and Z. We actually have to download this from there and blah, 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 blah. And I'm speaking to it in obviously normal human language, because that's all I know. I don't know code language. So him saying that eventually humans will just code in normal human language, I think is going to create like this beautiful, for lack of a better word, coding/poetic space of creativity. Or AI will just get embedded into robots and we'll all be slaves before something like this is actually realized. One of the two, but hopefully it's the former. But definitely hit me up and let me know what you guys think. If you guys have played around with AI or any of these tools, definitely be interested to hear what you have to say.